Hey guys, I'm getting ready to head out and go to one of our local antique malls today. I'm still looking for something I can use as a bedside table. I prefer to find something solid wood. I do not like all of this veneer and plastic furniture they sell. So hopefully I will find something I can use.
Look at how cute this display is. I love teapots, so I have to look at this teapot. They're asking $21.99 for the teapot. Check out these vintage Pepsi Looney Tune glasses. Boy, these bring back memories. They want $7.98 per glass. Since we're in an antique mall, we'll be going booth by booth. I will show you the booths that have the most stuff that's interesting, that definitely looks vintage. Even though this is an antique mall, there are several booths in here where they sell crafts and whatnots and newer items that are definitely not vintage, but might have a vintage vibe. This vintage blue ceramic and brass lamp comes with the shade, and they want $46.99 for it. As you can see, this booth has quite a bit of home decor and houseware items. Since the Barbie movie's been so popular, let me show you this. It's a vintage battery-operated Barbie Beetle. They want $184.99 for it. It looks like it's in mint condition. Some other customers came in and it's starting to get a little noisy in the background. This antique table to the right is handmade with dowels. I forgot to turn it over to see if the price tag was there. It's not what I'm looking for, but I definitely appreciate the quality and the fact that it was handmade by someone. And this is a vintage milk can, and they want $40 for it. There's a little bit of home decor in here, some child-sized rocking chairs and stools. Let me turn around so you can see what I'm talking about. There's other people trying to shop around me, so it makes it quite difficult to try to film and not capture them in my video. There's a metal basket right here that they want $7 for. It's really cute. I don't need it, but it's definitely cute. Those are typically used as fruit baskets or just home decor. I'm assuming this table is newer and not vintage because they only want $20 for it. That's a nice table for $20, but I don't have anywhere to use it, so I'm going to leave it. Here's a vintage rose set. They want $18 for this set. It's quite cute. It'd be lovely for Valentine's Day decor. Here's some ruby red vases. You can see the price tags there. This stuff looks so pretty sitting in front of this big window with the light shining on it. My grandmother always collected glassware when she was alive. Ruby red and milk glass were her favorites. I'm going to be honest and tell you the good things and the bad things about places where I shop or thrift at. My biggest gripe about shopping at local antique malls is that if I find a piece of furniture that I really like and I might want to consider purchasing, it's not for sale. The vendor is using it to display their other items. And to clarify, I'm not speaking about this vendor or this booth in particular. I'm just speaking in general. That's an Avon strawberry, bamboo salt and pepper shakers, a glass paperweight. That's cute. This booth has quite a bit to choose from. Getting really busy, and they just turned some music on, I think, so I'm probably going to have to mute out the music. I want you guys to have an authentic experience and be able to hear all the background noise and everything, but I can't afford any copyright strikes either. I've watched other creators have to take down videos and redo them because of copyright strikes, because they say that YouTube is really cracking down on copyright issues. They want $24.99 for this vintage Roswell brown drip glaze pot. My other grandmother had the Roswell brown drip glaze collection. They want $14.99 for this vintage straw dispenser. I'm old enough that some of this stuff really brings back some memories. My grandparents used to display the things that are shown here on this shelf, like the glass shoe. Going to an antique store can be just as fun and interesting as going to a thrift store because you never know what you're going to find. There's usually no shortage of vintage kitchen utensils and other items. This vintage flour sifter looks pretty good on the outside, but on the inside it's pretty rusted. I really have no idea what this is, so if any of you know, please let us know down in the comments what this thing actually is. It's always amazing to see what I missed while I was filming that I can see when I go back to edit it and cut out the background music. Look at that gold lamp sitting down there in the floor. I totally missed it, and it's so tall I bet you're wondering how I possibly missed that. I wanted to pick these up and give you a better look, but this turntable is plastic and it was really flimsy and I was scared to death I might break something. You know that rule, you break it, you buy it. Here's a vintage push-button phone. I will never forget the first time my kids saw a rotary dial telephone. They were like, what in the world is that thing for? I'm not sure if the green lamp is 1970s or if it's even older than that. This place is pretty big. There's the front of the building and then there's an adjoining building towards the back. So there's lots of booths to go through. Some of the sellers are in here trying to do a reset after the holidays and get their spring and summer decor put out. And some of the booths sell craft stuff and newer stuff that looks vintage, but it's not really vintage, so I'm skipping those booths. If you're a vintage toy collector, then this antique mall is the place to shop. And as I continue with the walkthrough, you'll see exactly why I say that. The tag says this is a metal chandelier with clear beads on it to be hung outside on a deck for $20. And over here are some individually wrapped vintage dolls. My aunts have some vintage dolls like this one right here, and I'm telling you, this thing is probably at least 40 to 50 years old, maybe older. Okay, let's go over here and take a look because there is a vintage Raggedy Ann doll, and they want $90 for it. I'm not a collector and I don't need it, so I would never be willing to spend that kind of money on a doll. I'm just here to show you what's available, and you might be willing to spend that money, and if you are, then good for you. There's no shortage of glassware to choose from in this antique mall, but I want to look over here because I just spotted what I think is a vintage keychain and some other items. Is that pronounced ESO or ESO or what? Anyway, I haven't seen a vintage keychain like this in a really long time. This one has the original card still with it, so they want $24 for it. This is an oven-proof divided serving dish with that brown dripped glaze on it from the 1960s. So to put that in perspective, that dish is 50 years old or older. I cannot wait to show you what we used to use to hold our milk so we could put milk into our coffee in the mornings. They want $8.99 for it, and you'd put your milk into the center of the cow there and then pour it out of the cow's mouth. And yes, we used to really have one of these on our table for breakfast in the morning at my grandmother's house to cream our coffee. They want $8 for this green jadeite butter dish. And they want $175 for this full set of blue and white Pyrex snowflake and garland mixing bowls. This seller has quite a few different sets of mixing bowls that you can choose from to purchase. Wow, let's check out this Pyrex Big Bertha with the lid over here. They want $100 for this one. It's called Old Orchard because of the design on the side. That's how they name the Pyrex dishes, is by the designs on the sides. They want $20 for this Murano hand-blown red twisted glass vase. It's really pretty. And yes, I was speaking really slow on purpose because anyone who needs to hear the exact description, I want to make sure it is clear enough for you. These Spades Tower teacups and saucers are sold as a set of 6 for $85. I have an assortment of teacups and saucers. I like to buy individual teacups and saucers so that whenever we all drink tea, we have our own individual teacups to choose from. This is a marigold glass punch bowl and glasses set. It's really pretty. It doesn't do it justice on camera though, I know. They have a radio station playing and they have it turned up really loud, so I might have to mute this again. This is a Fenton glassware silver crest 3-tier tidbit tray. It's gorgeous, but I don't need it, so I'm going to leave it here for you. Such an adorable vintage baby stroller. This is a vintage gossip bench. My grandparents all had one. For those of you who don't know, your old-timey telephone would sit on the table part, you'd sit your behind in the chair part, and this is where you would sit and talk on your telephone. Okay, I'm going to keep on browsing, and let's go over here and look at some more glassware. At first glance, I thought these were salt and pepper shakers, but they're actually jars to hold your seasonings, one for paprika and one for mace. The mace spice actually comes from the nutmeg seed. If you like collecting vintage glassware and baking dishes, this is the place to come. I remember having small drinking glasses like this, or like little juice glasses. Super cute, but they want like $10 a piece for them, and that's a little bit high, and I don't need them, so I'll leave those here for a collector. I want to point out that most of the items in this antique mall are in really good shape. They're not selling junk. I want to show you the glass cases because there's glass cases that are full of really old vintage glassware, jewelry, and other knick-knack items. They want $40 for this 1950s Bellini's vintage silver-plated dessert coffee set. This is a vintage photo of the Lake Michigan Lighthouse. As you can see, they have the matting around it, and it's in a really nice frame. They only want $4.99 for it. The frame and matting are worth that. On the fourth shelf down, you'll see a milk glass cake plate. I'm going to try to show you everything in this booth, but there's very little room to move around. And there's a lot of breakable items in here, so it makes me very nervous. I know I probably say it a lot. I like to buy lone teacups. And even though I don't really need any more, you know I'm still going to look, because if I find that special one, I'll buy it. Just don't tell my husband, okay? This green swirl vase is really pretty. They want $18.99 for it. This is a vintage can that used to hold pipe and cigarette tobacco in it. My grandparents actually used to buy these. There's just so much glassware in here. If you're new to shopping at antique or thrift stores, then I want you to know that if you see one of these tags that says NFS on it, it means this item is not for sale. I've got to show you this because this brings back so many memories. This is a vintage Aunt Jemima pancake syrup bottle. They ended up changing the brand name because they were accused of racial stereotyping by using the Aunt Jemima brand name. This writing desk is handmade Italian walnut and veneer. It is gorgeous, and they have marked down the price quite a few times on it. It looks like it's in immaculate condition. Room has tables in the center of it too, with lots of glassware, making it a little bit difficult to walk around and film. This vintage chandelier is kind of unique, and they want $199 for it. This room has a mixture of furniture, light fixtures, wall art, and glassware to choose from. Those corner wall shelves have been very popular since the 1940s, and those were in style from the 1940s all the way into the 1970s. You can see there's stuff in drawers, stuff sitting on the floors. It makes it very tricky to walk around in here and try to film. I have no idea what that noise is in the background. I think someone's trying to play a vintage instrument to see if it works or not. Okay, I decided to mute that to spare your eardrums. This urn-shaped vase is really pretty. They want $75 for it. This is a vintage folding gaming table. Me and my grandmother used to use one of these to put our puzzles together on. They also have some vintage collectible figurines and some other home decor in this booth. There's a chair and there's a couple of small tables I'm going to show you. Tell me, would you call this lime green or a neon lime green? That thing is bright. Okay, on to the next booth. I love these vintage lamps. My great-grandparents used to have lamps like that in their bedroom. There's vintage wooden baby blocks, and there's a lot of metal biscuit and cookie cutters. I do a lot of baking and cookie making, so I always have to check out the cookie cutters, even though I do not need any more at all. Okay guys, that's it for this video. Watch the next video to see even more of this antique mall.